Hello and welcome everyone to episode number 78 at the Indie Football Podcast. It's the IPL season here in India, and of course, that is the reason why many of you might think that we haven't been doing our episodes with a lot of as consistently as we would be doing before. But with rarity of episodes, we tried to have a more focus on the type of individuals we wanted to bring on our podcast, and we are extremely happy to be joined with by Triman Ranveer today. He is an Indian footballer of Indian descent who was born in Belgium, and now he's playing for a Belgium club and now coming back, and made the decision to play for India. So it's quite a journey, and ever since we and I and Anukarsh had sat together, we had some discussions that this would make for a great story, because that's what we made this podcast in the first place for. Thank you, Triman, for taking out the time. We know we have scheduled things around a bit 2 or 3 times. So even before we had this
Mhm.
discussion with you tonight, we knew you are a patient guy. So we do appreciate that patience as well.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. Yeah, Anukar sir, I think we have recently we have almost done a pivot to freestyle footballers in our episode in our in our podcast, right? Because earlier we had Monish, then we had Shah Huzaib, and then now, even though it is slightly different from freestyle football, it's just good to have different kinds of people come to the podcast, right?
Absolutely, and I think each one of them who has come on the podcast has added some value, has added a great amount of value to the Indie Football podcast, has given a different dimension altogether. In terms of Triman भाई एक और बात ये भी है कि we have been absolute freestylers in the schedule that we have given him from time to time, but he has taken it like a duck to water. And thank you, Triman bhai, for being so patient with us. I think इंडी फुटबॉल पॉडकास्ट के थ्रू ही आपका पेशेंस में तो कैरेक्टर डेवलपमेंट हो चुका है सो इट्स नाइस टू सी एंड दिस लाइक द फ्रेम इज काइंड
Yes,
ऑफ आउट फ्रॉम
absolutely.
श्रीमान भाई साइड
हमने इतनी तारीफ कर दी त्रिमान भाई की दी कि त्रिमान भाई humbled and overwhelmed with all the kind words that we have bestowed upon him. I guess we just wait
या
for it, right?
जो पॉज कर
Yeah, yeah.
दो
It might be yours, yeah.
हाँ
So we'll just continue from where we left. Anukar sir,
Okay.
you can
Yeah,
continue.
I had full range, so I don't know why that happened. So,
Oh,
Oh, weird.
something.
Anyway, I just wanted to say that Tribhan bhai, it's a pleasure having you here because I know, like you have shown a lot of patience with all the schedules and all when it came to recording this podcast. But एक कहावत है हिंदी में कि सब्र का फल मीठा होता है, and I think having you on the podcast is a testament to that. So, welcome to the Indie Football Podcast. As I said before the episode, that you are one of the youngest people we have had here, and the hopes of the Indie Football Podcast and the Indian national team are all reliant on you. So yeah, welcome here once again. And कैसा लग रहा है आपको आज?
can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes, we can
yeah,
hear you.
yeah,
We're
perfectly.
just asking,
Yeah, sure.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah, we're just asking that it would be great if you can give a roundup about your journey with football. When did you first begin falling in love with the game? How did you take the decision, or who were the important people in your life who influenced your path towards football and that kind? So it would be great if you can share a bit of your story.
Mm.
yeah. I started playing at the age of 11, 12 years old, club football wise. But before that, I started playing at school with my friends, and you know how it goes when you fall in love with the game. It's just when you're playing with your friends and just enjoying it. So yeah, I just started at school, and bit by bit I started getting more interested in playing at the club. I actually started quite late compared to other players around me. So I started playing club football at the age of 11, 12 years old, and it was in a local team which played in the lowest league in Belgium. So it was one of the worst clubs in the country. You could say I started there from the bottom. So yeah, it was just fun and games. I just knew everybody. It was just a local team, and slowly, when I got going to middle school, I see players from big clubs playing there, and in my school, and they tell me, "Yeah, we play at this level." They explained a bit, and I got a bit motivated by some guys around me, and I started pushing myself a bit more. And so, what's funny was what happened was the club where I played at before. They got promoted, so they were going to play at the provincial level, like Punjab state level, you could say, and I had to try again to them, and they said I wasn't good enough, so I got kicked back, and I had to go find another club, which was even more worse than my club where I was at before. So that kind of setback really was difficult for me because all my friends played at that club, and that was the first time I really thought it's getting competitive. And from there on, I started really doing my best, and it was not a good team, but I was much better than everybody around me, and I scored the most goals. And then I saw, even without of me trying, I'm much better than all the other players around me at that level. And yeah, from then on, I got more motivated. I was the key player of my team, and yeah, from that, the club where I played for before got promoted again. So now they play at the national level. So then I went again to try and test my luck, and then I proved myself because one step back made me go a bit further with my football. So yeah, I started playing at that club, and yeah, from then on, I just really pushed myself and playing at a decent level. It was a bit difficult adapting from coming from here and then just going to the national level in 1 year, but I did really well. It was in Kampenhout where I played. Belgium is quite known. So yeah,
Okay.
I scored 26 goals in 22 games that season, and I got scouted by
Wow.
IFC Ibiza, which is a professional club where Eden Hazard played his youth career,
Wow.
and it's a really well-known club. It's in the French part of Belgium, so the southern part. So yeah, I decided to take my chances and moved to them, and it was always a 1.5 hour train journey for me, and it was in the southern part of Belgium, which is French. And I'm Dutch speaking, Flemish speaking, so it was quite a difference for me going there and learning about the different kinds of people. The coach spoke French, nobody speak Dutch, and I got treated a bit differently than anybody and had a difficult season there. And I was never home because I have to leave for school and stay all day at school till 4 p.m. And then from school I had to go take a train ride of 1.5 hour from Leuven to Bies, and then training, and then after training is 10, and then you have to trick a train. I get home around by 12 1ish. So you could say I was only home to sleep, and it was really a difficult year for me. 1 year I wasn't even home, just on the road and just seeing a difficult time for myself, and it shaped me. And that, I think, without that year I wouldn't be having the courage to come to India and take that big step. So it was a stepping stone for me to take before taking the big leap into Indian football. And yeah, from Tubize on forward, everything started getting more interesting, bigger clubs, bigger level, and signed back in Londerzeel, which is in the Flemish part of Belgium, where I felt more at home because I missed it. I didn't get a lot of minutes in Tubize because I got a bit separated from everybody. So yeah,
Yeah.
played at Londerzeel for 2 seasons, which is in the second national division of Belgium, which is a good, decent level, you could say, and played from the under 17s until the reserves in 2 seasons. So yeah, that is that. And then from Londerzeel on, I went to the Netherlands. My first time going overseas, and I played for the VRS Academy, which is an elite level academy which plays against professional clubs across Europe and the Netherlands, like second division clubs from Holland. And I played against Fluminense from Brazil, like the first division team, Malmo, and many others. So that was also a great experience. Played against Bundesliga teams, and just getting that experience under my belt is really, really amazing.
Nice.
And
Yeah,
just
and you
knowing
did.
that you competed in that level.
Yeah,
Right.
Triman, you
Right.
did mention about how you have been away playing for almost a year, and that reminds me of the times when cricketers in India spoke about the entire traveling weight, when it gets to them. And of course, it is a different sport. It is a different kind of a phase compared to what the cricketers in India were going on and what you are going through. But do you think in some or the other way it does begin impacting the players, anyone who has been traveling for way too long, performing for way too, for many matches at a stretch without having a rest or a home run? Do you believe it plays a role?
Yeah, of course. I mean, when you have an away game, which in the case of Tobies, because the team before was playing at the professional level, but because of financial issues, they had to get relegated. So they didn't have the funds to have a through a bus for us, or because before we had to take a bus, we go to the matches, it was much easier. But for me, coming from the other side of Belgium to take a train to a random part in, because the southern part of Belgium is like really Pindu, you could say, it's more like village types, not like a city type, and it was really difficult to get to those places, and sometimes took 2 to 3 hours just to get to a match, and then you don't even play that much. It was really frustrating, and it takes a mental toll on you, and you question yourself a lot, and really on long journeys it's really difficult, and you get tired along the way, and especially if it's week in week out. But yeah, it
Yeah.
gets difficult. But Belgium's not as big as India. I think India is a really big country, and going from one part of India going to the other part is going to be really tiring. But yeah, Belgium's not that big, so we'll manage. And I think Belgium has almost as many professional clubs as India, and it's like the size of Punjab, so you can get an idea the size difference.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, a very interesting point, Sriman, you had talked about, in which you said that you were told that you were not good enough, but how you rose from that. So, being at such a tender age, how did you handle with that? And for a sports person like you, or someone who is wanting to make his way up to the top, how important is mental strength on the field and in matters like that?
Yeah, it's very, very important because without that, I wouldn't be here. And it's just reminding yourself you have to keep going. And the main thing is, I mean, I've seen a lot of players around me that probably much honestly better than me, but they are now doing whatever they are doing because just they don't have the drive to just keep going forward. And yeah, I just was thinking if I was them, where I would have been, because they have the qualities, but qualities don't take you as far as your mentality goes and does. So that's the main thing. You just got to keep going forward and reminding yourself why you're doing it and who you're doing it for. So if they are keeping reminding you and you know what your qualities are, you can go to a lot, really big places. So that's the main thing that drives me.
And it's also very interesting that you mentioned about uh, I'll be honest, when you first spoke about your entire journey, even for us who have been doing this for almost 80 episodes now and more than 2 years now, it was a lot of information to process. And like whenever you had mentioned so many different interesting aspects that I had follow-up questions to. I'll just ask the ones that I remember. You mentioned having experience of playing against Bundesliga teams. Which team was it, and how was the more than the experience about those 90 minutes or however long you played with them? Is there a feeling of like intimidation, 24 to 48 hours before playing a big team, because you anyway always keep playing football matches across different levels, but when you know that you're going to play a top level team, how different is it from any other football match that you play?
It's very, very different because especially when you come from the level which I played, which wasn't that spectacular to say the least, and then you play against Rot-West Essen, which is they play in the under 19 West Bundesliga division. And because in Germany the Bundesliga in the youth level is divided in parts because Germany is quite a big country compared to Belgium. So it has its parts where they play against Dortmund and etc. in the west part of Germany. So yeah, we
Right.
played against Rot-West Essen with our VRS Academy from the Netherlands, and we went down there. It was a bus ride, and just in the bus thinking about you're gonna face players that play for the national team of Germany and that level. Just thinking about how they're gonna play, you just getting yourself prepared mentally, and especially from where you come from, it depends how you think about it. I mean, somebody that plays against Barcelona regularly, or for example, is not gonna think big about it, but when you come from somewhere and you're playing facing a much bigger club, it's just a thing to process and just prepare yourself. And yeah, you when you play them, you see a big difference how they play, how fast they play, and just keep learning and just seeing, taking as much knowledge as you can from them. But yeah, it's a great experience. We actually played a good game against them. I think we lost 1-0 and they scored like the last minute. So yeah, we kept almost a clean sheet against them, which was impressive. Almost scored. I played 70 minutes, so it was a good experience for me. And yeah, but I was really shocked about the level. It was really good. So I think now having that experience, then going to India and knowing where I come from, where I played against, just stays in your head. "Yeah, I played against Bundesliga. This is nothing compared to that." So it just gives you a standard of yourself, you know. So that's the main thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Anukar sir, you mentioned a couple of times already in this episode about how Triman is one of the youngest members, guests that we have had, but also the kind of experience he's had at the age of 19 would probably, would probably be equal to many of the players that we have had in our podcast so far, right?
Definitely. I mean, it's great to have this sort of exuberance on the indie football podcast because I think that is what we need at a time when Indian football is slightly struggling with when it comes to the rankings and all. And I think it's talents like Triman which can, actually go on to do bigger things. Triman, so I want to ask you one question, and I would like bring in a brand placement here. How do you manage to be as cool as this Carabao energy drink on the pitch? What are the factors that while your team is say 1-0 down or at times 2-0 down, how do you come back from it? And how do you tell yourself that, oh, now we have to have that mentality? Because you talked about mentality, some a question back. And so, how do you keep it on the pitch? How do you keep yourself level headed in those moments?
I think it comes with experience, because I mean it depends. Are you a starter? Are you a bench player? You just came on. What's the score? It means it really depends, and depends on what type of player you are. I mean, I can speak for myself, but to say the least, I'm not really the much leader type player. I'm just keeping myself just focused on my game. I'm not really a leader for my team. I can just bluff and say whatever. But honestly, I'm just a player that just focuses on my game more and doing my job for the team, you know. But yeah, I just try to do my best every game and just to score and make goals and make assists. So I just focus on if I get the opportunity, I have to make it and I have to score, because that's my job. So if I just do my job and I know my teammates, I trust them and I think they will do their jobs. And if everybody is on the same page, I think nobody can beat you. So it's just about sticking to the plan, listening to the coach, and just everybody doing his task. And it's a team effort. You can have the mentality that you want. If your team doesn't give you assistance, you can't do anything. So it's really a
Absolutely.
team effort.
I have one more question to ask you, and of course, Doipan can ask later on. So, if I ask, say, a random person on, like, somewhere on the streets of India who watches football, or any random football fan, a lot of them would take the likes of Kevin De Bruyne or likes of Eden Hazard, players, Romelu Lukaku in their team, and everyone would, like, absolutely jump at the opportunity. So, and it's great, whatever you're doing for Indian football. So, what were the factors which made you give away that Belgian passport and come to India? Because, and I quote, you have said this in an interview that you were crying when you left Belgium at the airport, and you were saying, and you were thinking that you might not ever come back. So, like, what were the thoughts in your head, and how did you like? What were the reasons which made you choose India as your team?
I mean, I was first. I got an idea from an manager I had at the moment, and he said India could be an interesting thing for you. And I said, yeah. I was just started to think about it, and I started watching some India games, under 19 games, under 23 games, just to see the level. And I mean, I could see myself playing at that level because I just was looking at it and I was just interested. And I got my OCI card because before I didn't know I could need a Belgium Indian passport for to play for India. So I got my OCI card also for just coming to India and makes visiting 100 times easier. So and I thought, yeah, maybe I could play with the national team one day with this. But then talking to some coaches of the Indian national team. One I think assistant coach it was for the under 23s few years back, and he said, yeah, you need an Indian passport. And then I was 16, 15 back then, and yeah, just forgot about it back then and just started focusing on my game in Belgium. But then the topic rose up again, and started posting on Twitter, I think it was, and using the tag Indian football because I just wanted to get more views from Indian fans and this whatever back then. And I started getting a lot of likes, messages, and people say, "Yeah, come to India, come to India." And people said you should contact Ranjit Bajaj. And I was in the Netherlands back then, so I wasn't thinking anything of it. I just dropped sir a message, and from there on he said, "Yeah, this is my number. Just contact me." And I spoke with him. He said, "Yeah, you can." probably make it in India after seeing my highlights, but I need to see you in person to see if you are any good in real life, because videos and in person is a big difference. So yeah, one thing led to another. He said, "Yeah, come to Chandigarh and come to Mali and train with my senior team in the Delhi FC, and I want to see you play." I asked my father, "I think it's a good idea." He said, "Yeah, we can go." We spoke to my father, and we decided to go to India. And it was really sudden. There was no plans or anything. It just happened, and all because I posted a picture on Twitter. And
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Without that one guy contact Ranjit Bajaj, I would never been in India in the first place. So yeah, I went there for 2 3 weeks just on a vacation, plus to see Ranjit and whatever, because I didn't come to India for 5 years before that. So it was a really long time. So yeah, I went there and I visited Ranjit sir with my brother and my father. I don't know if you've seen the pictures on Instagram. I posted them.
Yeah.
So I was there with my father and my brother, and we met him. It was really lovely. And he said, "Yeah, I can stay at the academy." And I decided to stay with the hostel guys and just get the real Indian experience, staying in a hostel with all the players. I could have stayed in a hotel, but I refused. I wanted to stay with the players, just really get to know them and see how they are. And oh my God, it was a ride. It was really, really difficult because I always stay by myself. I had my own room. I never shared my room with like multiple players at once. It was really the hostel experience. So yeah, the food was great. I really felt at home, and also because it was Punjab and it's my native tongue, it was a bit easier for me. I wasn't like somewhere weird for me, so it was really at home. But once entering Minerva Academy, it's not, you don't feel like it's Punjab because there are really players from everywhere, and you can't even speak Punjabi there because there are all players from Manipur and Assam and everywhere, and like South Kerala, everything. So me only going to India to Punjab, seeing people from other parts of India, it was really bizarre. I saw because I didn't know there were like Indians like looking like really like Asian, like the Manipur people. Because before I didn't have any knowledge about it. Then I see people with a different look, and just I was just surprised. And then they speak Hindi also. So yeah, it was just interesting for me meeting those type of people, and it was a really great experience. And I played with the under 17 I League team in preparation for their I League campaign, and also with the senior team of Ranjit. And yeah, he was well impressed, and he said I can come back whenever and when I'm ready. So I went first back to Spain then, because I had a tournament with the VRS Academy in Spain. We played 5 games, won 5 games, 6 goals, 2 assists by myself.
oh
And I
wow.
was in a my game. I
Wow.
sent Register my highlights. He said, "Just come to India. You can make it to the national team. I'll help you." And that's when everything started from there. So yeah.
I feel that's really quite something, because Anukar sir will remember vividly. We had him in our podcast not so long ago, and he's quite a guy. He's quite the character. One thing that I'd always remembered is that, and Triman, you've also now been through that process with us. Where we add people to a WhatsApp group, we send over a certain flow, and the Ranjit Bajaj episode began, and I asked the first question, and he answered all the 8 questions we had on the list for us, that we had, across all half an hour. So he's very generous with the kind of information he wants to share, with the kind of he's very uh, unapologetic with the way he wants to put across his opinions. And I feel Indian football needs such characters, because of course we are dominant with cricket, and while it's a great thing, we do enjoy a massive hegemony when it comes to cricket. But of course we do need people like him to help us through. And of course, I do have this question, and of course Anukarsh Bhai can add later on, is being in Belgium for so long and now in India, do you see any cultural differences? You briefly touched upon that aspect of how you had never shared a room, or had many of those things, but now in India things are slightly different. You're staying at the hostel. What are certain uh, cultural differences, or just in general adjustments that you had to make, which is not so prevalent during your time in Belgium?
I'm gonna say one word. You're gonna understand me. Temperature. It was crazy. It was
Yeah, of
really, really.
Of course.
You guys have no
Yeah.
idea. I had to do a yo-yo test, like that running test with like the beep sound. Bro, it
Yeah,
killed me. It was like think 37 degrees, so it was really a headache. So it was really difficult for me adapting with the temperature because here Belgium, even if it's 20 degrees here, blessed 25 is really good weather over here. So it was really different for me. So yeah, the first thing is temperature. It was really the climate. The everything was different. I wasn't good with the food because I got Delhi belly when I was in Delhi, so that also wasn't a big help, and I got a bit sick. I got a bit sick also with the food, but slowly I got used to it, and I only drank bottled water also in the beginning because I didn't trust tap water. So I was really careful in the beginning and just adjusting to India. And I mean, the difference with Belgium is, like I said, the climate, for example, the pitches also, it's not the same standard as here. But I understand because India doesn't have artificial ground, but it's really hot. So the artificial ground's not going to do any help because if you play an artificial ground like I do in Belgium, when it's hot, it's extra hot on the it tracks the heat artificial ground. So it makes sense why India doesn't have that many of them because it's really difficult to play on when it's really hot. And yeah, the grass grounds. I was lucky to be in Minerva because the facilities are really top notch there. So I didn't have any issue with the grounds. But other parts in India, like sometimes I went outside Minerva to play. It was really difficult to play proper football on that type of pitches, especially coming from Belgium. So that was just an adjustment to make, and the coaches also was a bit different with their tactics and just their way of explaining things, and just overall wise
yeah,
the coaching is really difficult. And I think here it's more beaten around the bush, and Belgium is more like this and
direct.
this, and the players understand and we do it. It's really more theoretical but less action, I would say, if I'm being honest.
That's quite something. I just pick up on one thing where Triman mentions about the food, and I will just make one statement and I'll leave it to that, and it will be that of course the spices in India are renowned.
Yes, yes.
There's a reason why we got colonized for 350 years, and it started with the spices. So of course that had to be. Anuka sir, do you want to try out the new rapid fire segment with Riman?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So, Triman, we are for the first time on the Indie Football Podcast, we
Yes,
are
of course.
trying out the rapid fire segment powered by, I cannot say really because we are going to look for new sponsors for this. But yeah, of course, I would do want to mention that the Indie Football Podcast is powered by Ultimate Champion. And yeah,
Yes.
so I'll begin with a few questions, and you can answer them with your own time if a question takes you. And if we will be, all sort it out in the edits. So yeah, that is the
Of course.
advantage of doing the recorded.
Can you give me 1 second, please? 1 second,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
sure, no issues. I
yeah.
think I think that's the time that all actors and actresses would have also asked him a
Oh yeah,
coffee
मैंने
with
कहा तो
Karan.
मैं कहती है 1 second.
No issues.
तुझे नहीं
This is
है
also the point where probably everyone. Oh, we just edit this part out. I'll just mention it, right? भाई मैंने शुरुआत में वो अल्टीमेट चैंपियंस बोलना भूल गया, फिर से एक बार रिकॉर्ड कर लेंगे, हाँ?
कोई नहीं, वो कोई बात नहीं, वो दिव्यांश डाल देता है ना स्टार्ट में, उसका लोगो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है।
ओह अच्छा अच्छा,
हाँ।
this is what thing. भाई when he was, I'll let you know later.
मैंने किया भी यार
मैं
मैंने
आपको
देखो ये
अच्छा मैं
फोन
आपको मैसेज
ये
कैसे
फोन
डालूं जो
तो
सिर्फ
खराब हो
आपके
गया
पास जाए, ऐसा कोई सेटिंग है?
इसमें तो नहीं है यार, व्हाट्सएप पे है, आई कैन सी इट दो, ऐसे नहीं।
वो दुबई
तो कोई
कैमरा
नहीं मैं
के
आगे
क्लोजर
जाऊँ
आपने कहाँ पे लिखा था?
हाँ,
कैसे लिखा था?
ओके
मैंने वो टाइप करते कर कौन
Yeah,
सा होगा।
sorry guys. I am actually at my work, and my colleague was downstairs to open the door. So he kept calling me. I said, "What's the issue?" I'm in an interview. He said, "Yeah, open the door." I was
No issues, no
sorry.
issues. What we would do is probably wrap it up in the next 5 minutes. That includes the rapid fire round.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I'll
We can,
begin with the
yeah.
rapid fire round. Triman, you can be yourself, and you can also be Gautam Gambhir here, so you can give me a third answer also if you don't like the ones I ask you.
No, no problem.
Okay.
Ask me
But
away.
okay. So Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi.
Okay. Chetri or Baichung Bhutia?
Chetri.
Gurpreet Singh Sandhu or Thibaut Courtois?
Thibaut Courtois, of course.
Kevin, no, the Indian thing feeling also sometimes comes in. But okay, Kevin De Bruyne or Eden Hazard?
Eden Hazard.
Fair play. Uh, Brazil or Argentina? Of course,
Brazil.
football. Okay, fair enough.
Brazil.
Who is winning the next World Cup?
Belgium.
Okay, that okay, okay. Your favorite teammate,
Victor.
favorite footballer of all time,
Neymar.
a sport you like to play other than football.
Swimming.
If you could do a Freaky Friday with a footballer, who would it be?
Ronaldo. Training.
Okay, if a female footballer was there to coach you, who would it be?
Oh, excuse me, I didn't hear you.
If you had to get coached by a female footballer, who would it be?
Mm, a female footballer.
Yeah, there are lots of good names out there.
Okay,
Okay.
just it just explains because not many people follow a lot of women's football. So of course we will
Mm,
we will
That's
excuse you.
okay.
we'll, yeah. Okay, we'll edit this person out. This is
Yeah,
not
edit
good.
that one out. Yeah. No, sorry.
Okay.
I don't know
Then
any.
you have,
I think I
they,
only know Alex Morgan. I think is just top of my head. I
Yes,
don't know
I was
anyone.
going to
okay,
say
okay.
that. Have you seen the
Yeah,
documentary?
No, I rather not.
You
I'm
should
not
see it.
really a
okay,
fan.
It's a very
Yeah,
okay,
nice documentary. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know.
okay. Liverpool FC or Manchester United?
Manchester United.
I think that's a good time
I think I think that I
to.
think that is the point where Anukash had mentally prepared himself to ask two, three more questions, and so just in case you did not know, he's a big Liverpool fan, and if you say
Mm,
like United, he'll be like good. But I think
yeah, I
that
prefer
was a pretty
United.
nice
Yeah,
exception. Yeah, sorry, Triman, can you come again?
I prefer United any day of the week, any day. Because I don't know
Uh,
Liverpool, man. It's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, but I mean, it has been a lot of fun to have this conversation, Triman. Thank you once again for the time that you have given us, not only in the recording of this podcast, but also to the build up of this episode. We really do appreciate the patience that you have shown. And of course, we look forward to having some kind of a connection and communication between us for the times in the future as well. You mentioned your businesses as well. If you ever want a Indian extension to that, we are like always available, apart from
Perfect.
of course all the football conversations as well. We really do appreciate having this conversation. This has been Indie Football Podcast latest episode, powered by Ultimate Champions. Thank you everyone.
Thank
Good night.
thank